My name is John Lewis, and this is episode 4 of the Autism Athletic Podcast. My next guest is currently the head coach for Hillgrove football. His name is Justin DeShon, and he has been coaching for many years. And before we get started, I want him to tell me how he got started with coaching and where all he's coached at.
Yeah, it's a great question. Uh, I think that where it starts, man, is honestly, my dad did it for 30 years. So I was born and raised around the football field. So it's like literally all I know. Like I tell our guys all the time, it's crazy to think about a sport has moved you to two different states, paid for your college education, and now it raises your family. But that's football for me. So my dad did it for 30 years. I was blessed to play Division I college football at Southeast Missouri State. And when I graduated from there, I had two job offers: West Georgia and Saginaw Valley State to be a DB coach. And the day I graduated, literally that day, I got in my truck, drove down to Carrollton, interviewed, got the job, and the guy, defense coordinator, put me in his basement, and I never went home for 2 years, literally the day I graduated from college, because I had to go right to work. And so I was a DB's coach at West Georgia for a year, 2005, and got offered a full-time spot there, and I was engaged, and it was just at that time wasn't enough money. And so I went into teaching. I used my degree, got into high school football, went to Alexander High School in Douglas County, stayed there for 5 years. New Manchester High School was then built, and had the opportunity to go there, new school, new facilities, grow with a different head coach. His name was Rob Cleveland, and I really consider him my mentor. He was coming from Villa Rica High School at the time, so I went to New Manchester for 2 years, and was blessed there to coach Tyler Simmons, who played at Georgia, Brian Harrion, who played at Georgia. We were loaded, actually. I was there 3 years, and that was a tremendous experience, opening a new school from like ground level, something I'll never forget. And Chapel Hill came open late in February of my third year at Newman. And as a young coach back then, at the time I was, 2013, I was 32 years old. And I'd made a little bit of name for myself in Douglas County. And they were looking for their third head coach in 3 years. Coach Parker had left, Coach Patrick had left, and it was a late hire. Took a chance at it as a young coach. I got it. Went there, was there 7 years, and then Hillgrove comes open. This same exact situation. Coach Ironside had left. Coach Slack had come in for 6 to 8 months. COVID hits in between that time period. Took a shot at Hillgrove. At the time, it was just good for my family. We had just had our first child, and my wife was kind of looking to get out of teaching and raise him. And was blessed enough that Mr. Brown took a chance on me, and I ended up at Hillgrove, and this is year 4. Football has basically paved every route in my life. And, it's been fun. It's had its ups and its downs.
So I know you're obviously currently at Hillgrove, but what was like the main thing that like drew you into Hillgrove?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It's a great question. So we had just at Chapel Hill, we had just got done being in a region with Trevor Lawrence, Brian Branch, who's with the Lions. We were in Sandy Creek, Cartersville, Troop. We were in a 4-year cycle in Cedartown, and it became very apparent to me that I wanted something different from a program structure. In Douglas County, the middle schools don't feed directly into your program. And then every school is a magnet. So you didn't really know who you're growing through your program. Um, I wanted something different, watching the models at Carrollton, having their youth programs and their middle school programs, and being able to really start at rock bottom with their younger kids and build their program from the ground up. Really intrigued me. I thought that was a way to, really achieve success and get over the top and play high school football in our state at a very high level. And so that was the main attraction to Hillgrove for me, was being able to have a K-5 program, a 6-8 program where you got to be hands-on and, took a chance on it, and it was the right fit.
That's awesome. Okay, what have been some of your favorite? You don't have to tell the time, but what have been some of your favorite coaching memories?
Geez.
Name like a couple.
Yeah, I'd go all the way back to Alexander, my first year, 2006, 24 years old. The head coach at the time elevated me to defensive coordinator week 6 of my first year of high school coaching, and we threw a shutout against Osborne High School. I'll never forget that, just because it was mid-season, and you just had kind of a week to turn it around. And it was a huge growth step for me, because you had to go into a room of guys that weren't following you, and then all of a sudden the head coach makes a change, and you have to get those guys to buy into you, not only the kids but the coaches. And then we were successful. That was a strong moment for me, just from a confidence standpoint and a leadership standpoint. I think some of the other memories just at Chapel Hill, just being able to coach some of the special players that we had there, Braden Swinson, some of the things that he did, and Tyree Shelton one night ran for 400 yards against Cedartown. in a game to clinch a playoff spot. So just like those things for individual accomplishments stand out for other guys. And then obviously this year, the guys that we had, the character that we had, kind of seeing the things that we had tried to build into our culture really take shape, winning those round one and round two games at home and seeing the elation on those guys' face, to me, that's what it's all about. Just remembering those feelings, and they're short lived. It's like they literally you celebrate and you got about 12 hours and you're right back to work, and they're short lived. But you kind of reflect on that, and then just the signing day. I think I can remember every signing day of every kid we've been able to get to college in 21 years, and watching those guys go through college, play college ball or NFL ball, and then reach back out, want to help. Those are the things that you remember the most.
That's awesome.
Yep.
What do you think's been like the biggest turnaround for Hillgrove this year? Just obviously they were much better this year. So what's been the biggest turnaround?
Yeah, man, if I could bottle it and sell it, I would. And I'll be the first one to tell you that for a lot of years I thought it was just a buzzword, but our culture and culture is not just defined by me. Like, and I tell anybody that wants to ask me any questions, like our defensive coordinator Andy Zakowski, our weight coach Joe Gerda, our receiver, like it takes a whole building, and it took us time to develop our culture. And our first few years, guys didn't believe in it, and there was a lot of transition at Hillgrove. I mean, and we didn't come in and win instantly. And so people got nervous by that and they left us. And the young guys stayed and we got to play them and they trusted us and we took our lumps and they stayed with us. And our culture kept growing in the weight room and how we handle adversity and the belief that we had in each other. And then we finally caught momentum this year. And with the things that we had built and the toughness that we had, grown through enduring some bad times, once we caught momentum, we became very dangerous. And it was awesome to be a part of. It really was. But I'm a believer in culture now. And like we talk about it daily in our weight room. And, we have some new guys in our program. We've lost some good ones since December, just through graduation and just trying to keep our thumb on that culture and what it was built on so we can be successful again.
My next question is, what are kind of like goals or expectations or anything within Hillgrove football?
Yeah, I think, well, I don't think, I know, Hillgrove's a very strong program with a lot of tradition. Coach Ironside built a monster here. And so the expectation is to win in our community. And that's a fair expectation because we have all the resources to do it. And we didn't achieve that our first 3 years, and it bothered us. So the goal is the same every year. It's to have a winning program, provide first class experience, and build good men. Those are the three goals that we have every year. Those are the goals that as a coaching staff that we have. One of the things that we would like to be able to get over the top of is as a program as a whole in that game that we lost this year in the Elite Eight, we're 0-5 in that game, lifetime at Hillgrove. So we've got to find a way to get over that hump. But to get to that point is really hard. And so we just got to continue doing the right things. And sometimes the right things hurt. And we got to battle through that hurt. And then we got to find a way to get over that hump.
Yes. So you mentioned that Coach Ironside kind of built up this program.
Absolutely.
Um, my question is, knowing that, does that put any kind of like pressure on you or anything, or do you think about that kind of stuff, or
No,
do you just try to be your own?
I think you got to you're blessed to be a part of a program that has that type of history and that expectation, because when you go somewhere that has no expectation, people aren't willing to help like they're willing to help in our community. Our community cares about our high school. They care about our guys. Like right there at the end of the year, we couldn't stop people from trying to help us. We had so much food and so much outpouring of support. We couldn't even eat it all. It was just those things because your guys really feel that. And those things and those expectations were built by the people before us. And we talk about those things with our guys. We talk about Hillgrove football is bigger than us, and getting them to understand that. You say it the first time, they don't understand it, but then you continue to talk about it. Like people in our community come out to watch Hillgrove football and they don't have an iron in the fire. Their kids have left the program 10 years prior, 15 years prior, but they care so much about the program itself, what it represents to our community, and getting our kids to really embrace that this year. This was the first year I've been here that I felt like we really did embrace that. Like we walked into our field house and you see our legacy wall with all the NFL players and pictures of Coach Ironside and some of the teams that were phenomenal in the past. Well, now we got to put our picture up there too. And so being able to embrace that finally and not run from it is really something that I'm hoping that we can build upon and will be interesting to watch and carry on our tradition. And I'll say this too, our senior group, multiple times listening to them break down in huddles and things like that, they really wanted to be a group that brought Hillgrove football back. I can't tell you how many times I heard that. Like, hey, we're going to bring this group back. This is we are here because we wanted to be a part of this, and those are the things that make Hillgrove special. There's a want there to be excellent.
All right. So my next set of questions, I think,
Yep.
are going to be more, a little bit more, like specifically, like not just about like Hillgrove, but just more like
Yeah,
football.
absolutely.
So my first question is, what would you say like a typical practice is like?
Yeah. So I'm gonna share everything.
Oh, okay.
We practiced at 6:30 in the morning every morning. It was a model that we took from Carrollton High School, who actually ended our season. Coach King and I, he's put some wallops on me. I could see Trevor Lawrence all 4 years, and obviously we've played Carrollton 3 straight, and we've become friends. And to me, they're a signature program in our state. So I go over there, and he shares ideas with me. We went to that model, and I shared it with our administration. They were completely supportive. So we practice at 6:30 in the morning into the first part of the school day, and then we go to football weight training. So we are with our guys from 6:30 a.m. till 10 a.m. Yeah, and then we came back after school and watched film, walked through, and did corrections. Very much a college model, and our people embraced it, and it was huge for us. So that byproduct of watching our guys, they're putting in 5 to 6 hour days into a football game every day. That's a lot of football.
Oh yeah.
But it paid off. Typical practice for us, 6:30 in the morning. We're right into position groups. We'll stretch in our individual stations. We give full autonomy. Defense is on one side, offense is on the other, and we're basically split up for about 30 minutes, either doing some type of breakdown work or drill work or schematic work, kind of putting your pieces together. And then we'll start bringing both sides of the ball together, whether it be inside run, 7-on-7, team periods. If we're playing option, it will be some type of option period, perimeter drill, something like that. So to answer your question, about 30 minutes of individual group stuff, 30 minutes of breakdown team stuff, and then we're into some special teams, and then we're into team for the last 20 minutes where we're going against scout looks.
Yeah, that sounds. So I was the manager back when Ironside was there, and that
Yep.
sounds, as far as the structure, that sounds very similar to what I remember.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. And early in the year, you might have some more time and some different looks with pads and being a little bit more physical. But then as the year goes on, you start to kind of lighten that load, and because the bodies start to wear down.
Oh, okay. So this is a kind of a weird question, but I've always wondered. So you see coaches with headsets on, obviously,
Yep.
but I have always wondered like play calling work.
Yep. So
So nobody really knows what, like,
yeah,
obviously you can't hear what they're saying, but
yeah. So that's a really great question. So this year I actually took over play calling. My first 3 years I didn't call any. Yeah, this year I took over offensive play calling, and for me, a lot of play calling happens um, Sunday through Thursday. Watching a ton of film, really getting an idea of, like what you want to run inside the 20, what you want to run from 20 to 20. And then obviously when you get out there, teams adjust to you, they make changes. They show their hand, whether, they're going to play some cover zero, they're going to play some cover one, or where their three techniques at, little things like that. And so that will start kind of changing your play call. For me, that play calling piece, I have a very good idea of what I want to do when going into the game and what our kids are really good at, and then just kind of dressing that up with different looks. I also like to kind of call plays in a very complimentary way to our defense. And I'm a defensive guy by trade. Our defense was phenomenal this year. We threw 6 shutouts. So we didn't play a high risk type of offense. We didn't put the ball in the air a whole bunch. We were happy running the ball at a 70% clip and punting if needed because we trusted our defense so much. And this wraps into play calling because as a play caller, we would call plays with that team complementary idea in mind. And we had a strong kicking game. For instance, if it was 3rd and 8 at McEachern's 30-yard line, we didn't necessarily throw the post or throw the ball deep at a low percentage throw because we would be happy maybe running the ball, getting 5 yards, or throwing a slant to get 5 or 6, and maybe it's 4th and 2 because our kicker was good from 50, and we would take the 3 points. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So, if you really went back and studied our film, probably inside of our own 50 on our side of the football field, I bet we didn't throw the ball very much unless we were pressed to by time and score, which didn't happen very much because we would play field position and be able to punt. So that kind of, to me, goes into play calling, not necessarily just designing extravagant plays, playing to your team's strengths, being able to eat the clock, trust your kicking game, trust your defense, and field position matters, and throw your change ups and throw your curveballs when they matter.
Okay. So I've often heard the term in football, like kind of script the first
Yep.
several plays. Do y'all do that, or do you
Yep.
just let it flow naturally?
No, we script our first 10, and if we get off script, we'll say it over the headset to get off. Some games we don't script 10. Sometimes we do, more so just to see how the defense is going to line up. So if you see us in a first 10, we're probably in 5 to 6 different formations that include an overset, formation in the boundary, a 10-piece set, just to get a feel how the defense is going to play us if we don't have a great feel for it during the week. And if there's certain matchups we want to expose. Like at Pebblebrook this year, we had a first 10 script because they were a 4-2-5. We wanted to see how their safeties adjusted to some tight formation and some motion. And, so those types of things. You script your first 10 when you need to see how a defense is going to move. There's some weeks where defenses are just, hey, we're a 4-3, we're cover 2, and they don't move, and you don't need to script your first 10.
Yeah, right. Just a basic.
You know what you're getting, you're going to call your best stuff. When you get a lot of safety rotation or multiple fronts or odd fronts to even fronts, you script to kind of see how they're going to line up to you, how they want to defend you that night, and then you can start calling your plays based off of that.
And then to go on. Sorry, I have a lot to say about play calling, but
No, I love it.
another question. This is more of a technical question.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered, like, when you're talking on a headset,
Yep.
like, who are you communicating with, and like, how exactly does the more like technical process work when play calling?
Yeah, so we assign roles. And so like my offensive line coach, he won't say a whole lot, but he'll talk to me about certain things that he sees, maybe a pressure, maybe something that we're not picking up, maybe we're losing an individual match. There's not a whole lot of talking on the headset because I'm talking to someone that's signaling. And so if there's too much interference, we can't get a play call in. And so if you see us getting animated on a headset, it's probably because I'm telling people to be quiet because we can't get the play call in. The person in the box, I assigned him to tell me who makes tackles. That's a very Paul Johnson thing. I took it from him. He had 11 GAs in the box assigned to every player, and whoever's player made that play, they would tell him. So they would say, Coach, the weak safety made the play. He was so intelligent, he would know how to adjust to that.
Wow.
And so I had a guy up in the box this year, and his only thing was I would ask him certain things. Hey, tell me what they're doing to Twins. Tell me what safety did to trips here. Where's the weak side safety? So I would cue him in on little things, and then he would always just tell me who made the tackle. And it just kind of tells you where you're breaking down. Hey, coach, 3 techniques made the play in power. And I knew we ran power. That means we're supposed to double team the 3 technique. I know right now we got split. And so those guys, they're giving me information. And then like Coach Humphreys, he'll talk to me about coverage. Coach, we're getting press over here. Hey, they're and so that the play calling piece is really, it's happening so fast, and you're getting information and helping you adjust in your brain and move your formations and motions to put your kids in the best situations.
So after you've like talked with the coaches and stuff about coverages and plays and stuff, like how do you actually like get the play out onto the field? Do you tell a certain player and then they tell the huddle? Or
No, so I'm Coach Mahalik, who's been with me 5 of my 7 years at Chapel Hill, and then all 4 here. He's been with me 9 years. So I'll give him the play call, and Coach Humphreys will get a play call. Coach Humphreys will signal into the skill guys because they don't need to see everything. So our skill guys will get the formation and then their tag. Our offensive line, our running back, and our quarterback will get in kind of like a muddle huddle, and they'll get their signal from Coach Mahalik, and the quarterback gets everything. And so like an example for us would be like right queen zip, hit 2. And so that's formation, running back alignment, running back or receiver motion, play call, right or left, and then the tag. And so we separate that. So some coaches are signaling that into the skill. The lineman and quarterback are getting it from a different coach, and then it all just comes together. And so it's, because it can get very taggy. So the receivers don't need to know it's a run play. They just know how to execute right. That's the formation, zip, 2 screen.
Yeah, so I was watching a talk show one time and Drew Brees was on there.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, I know in like the NFL, like their plays are like really long, but he said it's actually not as complicated because you just listen for your part.
That's it. That's it. And the quarterback is the only one. He gets the entire signal, but then he only regurgitates what the linemen need to hear. So the quarterback out of the 11, to your point, is the only one that knows what everybody's doing. The receivers just get a signal for what they're doing. They have no idea what the linemen are doing. And that's just a way to keep it simple. It helps us as coaches be more diverse and be more complicated without putting it on the kid.
No, honestly, I really don't have anything else to ask you.
All right.
I really appreciate you taking the time to come out. And I'm really glad I get to know you through this process because I actually didn't really know you before.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that we get to kind of connect through this. And I appreciate you coming out. And that's all I've got for today.
Man, I appreciate you, and like I told you earlier, please keep supporting us and have me out anytime. I'm not afraid to tell you, talk. You're part of our community that I was talking about earlier. You care, and that's what makes Hillgrove so special.
Yes. I will say this. I don't know I was supposed to wrap it up, but I was Hillgrove manager back in 2015,
Yeah,
my senior year of high school, and I've been coming to the games ever since. And I just think more people should do that. Like they should just come out and just support, just a kind of a cheap, fun way to, and local way to have fun. I feel like.
well, when you asked me that question 30 minutes ago about why Hillgrove, is having that K through 12 program, but that is a sense of community. And so what you're describing to me is our community. And you don't get that everywhere. And that's why it's so special here. And that's why our expectation is what it is, because our community is so strong and they care.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. So I think I really am gonna wrap it up this time, actually. But I really appreciate you coming out,
Yes,
and
sir.
glad we got to connect. And if there's anybody else you think would be interested, whether it be football, basketball, players, doesn't matter. And I'm even open to other sports too, because my first interview was baseball. But if you can think of anybody, but don't rack your brain thinking about it. But if you think of anybody, just shoot them my way.
Absolutely, man. I got some guys in mind right now.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, thanks for
Appreciate it, man.
coming out.
Yes, sir.